Hello everyone, welcome to Redmen, Liverpool-Chelsea this weekend. What a massive clash for Liverpool's title challenges and for Chelsea's quest for the top four. I'm joined by Nicola, Pearson and Charlie Dawson for this one, our resident Chelsea fans / experts. Happy with that title?
I like that, I'll keep that.
Nicola, I'll start with you. It's been a fairly tumultuous season, I think, for Chelsea, and which is really seems to be coming to a head certainly in the last few weeks. It's mad to think that, you know, there was this point in the season where City, Liverpool and Chelsea were unbeaten. Everyone was talking about it being a three-horse race for the title, and really the kind of, I don't say the wheels have totally fallen off, because look, still going strong in the Europa League and still very much in the running for top four. But yeah, from the outside it looks like things are not great at Chelsea at the moment.
Yeah, I think pretty much everything there was right. It seems so long ago now that we were there unbeaten for, 12, 13 games, I think it was in the end. And everything seems to be going great. We had this Sarri ball, everybody was really excited about it. And then obviously hit a few iffy results. And since Christmas, it just seems to have gone, I wouldn't say downhill, because like you said, we are still in the running for top four, and obviously helped out a little bit yesterday with Everton beating Arsenal. So we've got the chance now. But as you said, I think it's the football that we're watching on the pitch. It's not what we were sort of told that we'd be getting. We've got the issues with the players, the stubbornness when it comes to the teams that he's picking, which I think is the real issue with a lot of the fans. Yeah. It's just every week you're thinking, oh, maybe he'll change it this week, maybe we'll get a bit of a mixture, maybe he'll play players where they should be playing, and that just hasn't been the case. The actual football's just really been poor, and when you're having results that we've had against like City and Bournemouth, it's not what we expected to see, and not really what you want when you're coming towards the end of the season where you're really trying to get top four.
I think the big one, Charlie, that stood out is obviously Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's the name on everyone's lips. It's funny how it happens, how, you know, a young lad that barely kicked the ball ends up becoming some sort of pseudo saviour or whatever. Liverpool had this with Sterling when he first started to play for us. Got a game at the weekend. Involved in the I think he set up the first goal, but he's clearly a talent. But is this one of those situations where it's becoming almost like the fans against the manager, so that, you know, you're finding a cause like Hudson-Odoi, it becomes more important than supporting the manager's decisions and things?
To a point, I know what you mean. I think Hudson-Odoi really it's kind of like a symbol for the academy. To a point, it's the fans from a lot that I've met want a young player to come through. They want a Chelsea player to come through. They want, realistically, someone to be the next John Terry, the next Lampard. That sort of the spine that really knows who Chelsea is. Yeah. And Hudson-Odoi, obviously, he's a great player. He's playing well. Realistically, if Hazard leaves, there's a gap kind of in Chelsea's hearts that you need a player that can give you a bit of magic, that embodies just confidence. I feel like with Hudson-Odoi, it's not so much going against the manager, because if you look at the players he's actually started playing, we've got Loftus-Cheek is playing a bit more. He should get some games by what Sarri's saying. Christensen's coming back into the fold, Anfield's in the squad. If you look at, there's always 4 or 5 youth team players training with the first team. Yeah. He's trying to bring people in. I think it's not so much fans against Sarri. I think there's a bit of a misconception there, really. It's more sort of, we want to see that world-class academy we've got moving forward, and we want to see that Hudson-Odoi can kind of be like a little beam of light for that. And you want to go, look, we've got these players. We have a lot of people on loan. Let's be honest, we sell a lot of players. That's what happens. But you've got Hudson-Odoi, he's got to go and look, it does work, this can happen. Loftus-Cheek, he's done it. There's 2 paths. You can either come here, if you're exceptional, you might stay with the squad, train and get into the first team. You might go out on loan, you might do what Loftus-Cheek did, but there's kind of that, he's a shining light, really. Sarri's doing more than we think he is. Yeah.
The Sarri stuff I think is fascinating, because I think he's a terrific manager, but of course I don't get to watch Chelsea every week, Nicola, so inevitably my opinions will be limited. It counts for nothing, because obviously I don't care ultimately what happens to Chelsea or not. But the Sarri stuff, is he falling foul of what's become the Chelsea way in recent years of win the league, be poor, sack the manager, bring a new manager and win the league? And the fact that he's not come in and been absolutely right bang at the top of form, do you think that's kind of contributing towards the ill feeling towards him?
Yeah, because we have got used to in the last few years, it has been that instant success. The manager's going to come in, we're going to probably win the league, or we're going to win a trophy in that first season. And we have still got the chance to do that, obviously, with the Europa League. So it's not like it's completely dead in the water season. It's not. But I think the problem that he's kind of fallen foul of is the fact that he's been brought in. He's not had previous success. He's not won trophies before where he's been. So he was brought in purely based on the style of football he plays. And the problem he's got is that style of football that he's playing is not living up to the expectations of what we were told. We were told it was going to be exciting, free-flowing football. And actually, you watch the matches, you've fallen asleep. You're watching them. And it's probably some of the most boring football I think I've watched us play in I don't know how many years. And I think that's what his issue is that he's been brought in, not because he's had previous success, which is what we've actually tended to do in the past. We've gone against what we normally do in bringing in a manager, and it is purely just based on the football he plays. It's almost going back to the Andre Villas-Boas days where brought in, he's going to play exciting football, and then obviously by March he was gone because it's a similar situation. So the fact that he's actually still here maybe says something that actually this is what we're doing now, but I think that's been his biggest issue.
Is that something that, for you anyway, Charlie, that Chelsea need to kind of ride this out a touch? Because it's interesting, look, different levels to this, but I talk to like Everton fans and they talk about their issues with Marco Silva, and when you talk about a first season of the manager, for most clubs, it helps if you bought into the manager and the character of the manager and all that kind of stuff, but often your first season under a guy is you get glimpses of what they're trying to do and you cling on to them, and then you build the season after. You get a couple more players who suit his style and you see more of that. It's certainly what Liverpool have done under Jurgen Klopp. Is there enough? Have you seen enough this season from that to be able to say, well, if we give this guy give him a transfer window, might not quite be possible, of course, but we give him more time to get the right type of players, even if it's only recalling players from loan, I guess. That you'll get more and better from him if you stick with the manager this time around.
Do you know what? I don't think the football's actually been that bad. There's been spells obviously which haven't been great, and there's been spells that have been very boring, but there's flashes of it. Yeah. And like if you're watching was it Brighton? I think it was.
Yeah.
That you got some free flowing football there. You could see the passing patterns. There's a lot of movement going on. I think a lot of the issue was one, we haven't realistically got a lot of the players to play that way. And so like if you look at traditional Sarri teams, you've got a left back a lot of the time that goes up and down, great at crossing in. Alonso's not great at that. He kind of goes up and stays there. And then you've got Emerson who can do his best attempt, but we kind of got a transition to playing that way. And a similar thing with Azpilicueta. If you're looking at a right back, you want realistically a bit of ability to go up and down. Yeah. Same sort of thing. But also kind of like support the attack and stretch it, provide an option. When we get Hudson-Odoi, for example, on the right side, he stretches to play, that creates a bit more space, allows a bit more playthrough, which we're kind of missing. So like, I'm seeing Sarri, I'm thinking there is opportunity there. But you need some players to be brought in. Whether or not that's a transfer window, if he stays that long, I'd like to think so. I mean, we've got Europa League, you could win that, realistically. Yeah. Top 4 is a possibility. It's not as bad, I think, as people are making out. It's just a lot of a case of it's quite reactionary in football. Yeah. And especially with Sarri, because he's quite, I mean, I'll be honest, I quite like the fact that he comes across and says things like he clearly doesn't give a shit. Yeah. Like, it's funny to me, if I'm honest. I like the fact he's like, yeah, whatever, I'll say it. He does say some things that are a bit silly at points, like the Hudson-Odoi comments with, I only watched 20 minutes. I've seen a couple of outlets cut that up, and for example, he said he was good on the left, but he was poor on the right, and is at fault for the goal for England, which he was, because he wasn't tracking back properly, he didn't get his man, he was a bit lazy, and that's kind of cut up. But saying that is leaving yourself open to positive, negative press. So I think realistically, Sarri's not a bad manager, and the football is working, but there's a bit of a, because it's Chelsea Football Club, it's drama, and like you said with the transfer window, it might be a bit of a blessing in disguise if they do get a transfer man, since we might have to just stick with him. Yeah. And that perseverance might be what we need, because let's be honest, we need some longevity. Yeah. Longevity. That word. There we go. Yeah.
Perfect. It's an interesting, because it would represent a complete shift for Chelsea, I think, you know what I mean, particularly on a guy, as you say, who's not got the proven track record or whatever. And let's be honest, I think it helps. I think it provides fans with ammunition when you're looking to go to bat for someone, when you can go, well, look what he's done and look what he's achieved in the past. I don't think it's to be underestimated how great he had that Napoli side playing. That Napoli side, to be fair, Liverpool are in a familiar situation at the moment. You know, Liverpool could finish second in the league this season, haven't had the best season they've ever had. You know, and very similar to Napoli and Juventus. No shame to finish second to that Juventus side, but I get that it's difficult. I mean, Nicola, I didn't realise quite how tight it was down there for that thing. And the problem is, kind of following on from what Charlie's saying, kind of what you're saying as well, is that the problem with the press and the problem with things are covered, there's 6 teams fighting for 4 places. And realistically now, there's 4 teams fighting for 2 places because of the way that the league's kind of panned out. So there's always going to be at least one crisis club. And so that the one with whom the attention's all focused on, and London clubs get it. I think get it a lot as well because there's so much pressure and there's only so many people who support. You've got ex-Tottenham players in the media, and ex-Arsenal players in the media, and Man United who are happy to dig it out. Top 4 and winning the Europa League, good season.
I'd say that'd be success for. It'd be success if you're looking at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
because you can't win the Champions League.
Exactly. You're thinking if you can win the Europa League.
That's not dig. It's
fair enough. Exactly. We want to just get back into the Champions League. So if at the start of the season you'd said, top 4 trophy, win the Europa League, whichever it was, then you'd be thinking, that's brilliant. I think it's just because how we started the season, like you said, it was fantastic. We were unbeaten. We were challenging for winning the league, and then it just seemed to come off so spectacularly with some of those results that we've got that he's had, which I think have really they've drawn attention to it massively. Some of the deficiencies that we have. So while it would be successful, I think because the key aim is to get into the Champions League, whether we do that through Europa League now, whether we do it through top 4, then that was the key aim probably at the start of the season anyway. So if we did that, then you probably could stay on another year quite happily and obviously see how it goes and then challenge for the league next year. But I think something needs to improve with what's on the pitch.
You need to be bought into it though, don't you? If you're going to turn up and you're going to watch the football, you do need to have something to hang your hat on. I think you need to have something that makes you excited for it, because you can live with the pitfalls, you can live with slumps, you can get through them, provided you've got a degree of trust that it's going to bounce back a little bit, but also that you're seeing teams and players going out there and giving everything. And I guess it kind of leads into this game with us at the weekend, Charlie, is that it's a massive game for both teams, Huge. Obviously Liverpool, this is, on paper certainly, the one remaining truly massively tough fixture between, now and the end of the season for us in terms of our title challenge. And, you're talking a point separating, between 1 and 2 points separating all the teams fighting for top 4. Use having the Europa League game on the Thursday, I think, actually plays in Liverpool's favour a little bit to some extent. But there's no getting away from the fact that Chelsea are going to go for this big time.
I think a big one. So obviously, Liverpool Chelsea is always quite an intense game. Yeah. I mean, I'm not entirely sure why. It just always seems to have been that way. Maybe it's something to do with the whole Torres and Suarez and.
To be fair, it goes back to when you got the Abramovich money in, that we were guaranteed Champions League every season, and then
popped up and
then obviously you became a major rival, and then obviously started winning league titles or whatever, and then we played you loads in the European Cup. Regardless, it's a modern rivalry if nothing else.
I know for sure. It's a big game, and I think one of the key points as well is, so obviously as a Chelsea fan, I'm going to be a bit biased anyway, but a lot of what I'm going to see is when Chelsea can't win the title, they seem to like having a hand. They seem to get quite lucky fixture-wise in being able to make a real impact on who's going to win it. Like if you're looking at Tottenham back when Leicester won the league, literally Tottenham were going absolutely mental in that game. You could see the game was filthy. It's great to watch. You could see the intensity. You're seeing people playing for the shirt fully, but Hazard's just going for it. Teams just fully trying to shut them down. Just anything you can, stop them winning. We did it again with you a little bit.
13-14, absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, there's sort of like that winding goal.
The better.
I wasn't going to mention it, but we've been here before in April with
I thought it's got to be brought up, and it's one of those things. I'll be honest. I think Hazard's off in the end of the season to Madrid, and if you look at the way he's playing phenomenally. To be simple, really. I mean, he's got the best output he's had ever, and I think realistically, if he can sort of come along and be look, Chelsea fans, what I'm going to do is we're not going to do much. We might win the Europa League, might get top 4, but I'm going to give you a moment to remember. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets there.
I wouldn't be, and that's the big thing for me, Nicola, is that he can have the worst season ever, and we've seen him have terrible seasons. You think about the one leading up to the Euros, and he was awful all season long, and then he rocked up to Anfield as just and turned back into the best player in the world for 90 minutes. He turns it on against Liverpool time and time again.
Yeah, when it comes to playing the top teams, he likes to show, like you said, whether he's doing it because he wants to get a move at the end of the season, shop window type thing. But like you said, this season, he has been probably one of his best seasons anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how well he does do against Liverpool at the weekend, because we've heard in the news that potentially Real Madrid seem pretty confident signing him. Is that going to be turning his head? Is that going to impact him in a negative way? Or is it going to be a positive thing where he's going to be like, right, I'm going to show what I can do, and I'm going to turn up and this is what I can do. So it will be, I think he's going to be the one to watch at the weekend to see just what he can do. What
do we think then, just sticking with you on this for a minute then, Nicola, what do you think Chelsea are going to line up like? Because I saw a lot of comments off the back of the weekend saying, do this. This is the lineup, this is the approach, this is the style of football. What was it that made that so different from what you'd seen?
Because I think the most telling thing about the Brighton match against Brighton was the fact that he did change it up a little bit. He was playing the players that fans have been calling for. He started Hudson-Odoi, had Loftus-Cheek in there. He changed it up, and that's probably one of our better performances that we've had in the past few weeks. So obviously, I'll be hoping that he does a similar thing where he does put Loftus-Cheek in there, that he does, whether he starts Hudson-Odoi might be a step too far at the moment to start him in that match, but he's definitely got to come on and play some part. I think Loftus-Cheek definitely needs to play some part. And it'll be interesting to see what he does at the back, because I think he can't play Alonso. I mean, Alonso missed out last time, was it through illness or injury in the last match, so he couldn't play him anyway. But yeah, if he brings him in, you could be handing you guys the match, to be honest. Wow. I think that's the impact that playing Alonso in that back four, and whether he plays Christensen in there as well, I think will be another one that could tip it either way. I think our back four is probably one of the main focuses. I think he'd be the
safer option, Christensen. I mean, if you're looking at a player that at any point could combust, it's going to be David Luiz. Let's be honest. Just watch that Son goal against Spurs. Just watch him just sort of diving in, or just the random sort of run forward. Oh, I've got to be back and I'm a defender. Forgot it.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Christensen, although he might not give you that ridiculous diagonal pass, he was doing a lot more of cutting lines last game, and he's just a bit safer. And I think against your attackers, realistically, we've got to admit that you've got to go a little bit safe defence-wise. If you look at the way you play, it's quite wide. Yeah. Realistically, I want David Luiz stepping up forward and then Alonso playing, and they're having to sort of cover in that ground as well when you've got two guys that really want as much space as possible. So if anything, I think like Emerson's got to start, really.
He's definitely got to start. If we want to have some kind of solid base, we need Emerson to start.
Who's going to start centre forward?
That's a good question. That's the question that's been all season, isn't it? Is who we're going to have centre forward? Is he going to do like he did against City and actually play Hazard false nine? Is he going to bring in Giroud because obviously he played well against Brighton? Or do you bring in the striker that you brought in to save our season and he wasn't really done it? Bring Drogba back, I think. Maybe we can get Costa in on a last minute loan, I think.
Do you know what, actually? So Hazard, I think, would be, for me, the worst option in terms of you're kind of losing all his creativity. Yeah. Like, he needs about 4 or 5 yards, gets going, gets at defenders. He needs a bit of space to run into, realistically. Not run into, but people to run at. Sure. If we're playing him at that sort of centre forward false nine, it's a bit useless in the sense you're going, someone's got to create the ball for you when normally that's what you're doing, and it feels a bit counterproductive. For me, though, it'd be Giroud.
Yeah.
If you look, like, there's a reason that every player says the favourite player to play with as a striker is Giroud. He might not score a lot of goals. He did all right. He did all right in the Europa League. Yeah. Do you mean he can finish?
He can score goals. He can finish. He is known to be a finisher. Yeah. Whether he plays the best football, it doesn't really matter as long as you've got somebody who can be in the box.
The problem is unless you've got a guy who's the complete centre forward, I think these days you need to have someone in there.
Exactly.
Well, no, but that's the thing. This is why there's so many similarities between 13 and 14 in some regards. I mean, you had a number of like formerly world class centre forwards in the squad at the time, and guys who were
the name's great, the reality isn't.
Well, they were the guys who've become 1 in 4 centre forwards by that point in the careers when you needed that 1 in 2 bare minimum, which obviously Costa went on to become for you the season after. But you need someone who's gonna they need someone who's you play to their strengths and they're going to get you through games with 20 goals a season, or you need someone who's going to work for the team. And I wonder what the problem with Hazard in that false nine is that you have to be the guy before the guy in that role. I don't think he likes being the guy before the guy. I think he likes being the focal point. I think he likes being the guy who's going to do it all. And you're right, it doesn't suit his style of play to be in that that area of the pitch.
Even on like a basic level, if you look at where he's going to play, if he's playing up in that centre forward role, he's going to be so far forward that the goals he often scores, the great goals, the ones that make difference, are because he started quite deep. And if the game's not going well, if we're not winning, he's going to start going deep. And then you've just got a gap up front. It's easy for you to defend against, even harder for us to create. So like, I feel like Giroud realistically has got to be the option because he can be a target man. He helps everyone else out.
And he's got good feet, as in when he's linked up really well with Hazard, especially towards the start of the season, they did link up really well. So at least they know that you've got that partnership there, whereas he's not been able to do that with Higuain really yet. So, and like you said, in the false nine, it's not going to help the team.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Handsome fella too.
I want some score predictions off you. Listen, don't pull your punches. Don't feel like you have to because there's going to be a torrent of abuse in the comments.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
That's fine.
Realistically, I'm going to say 2-1 at Chelsea.
Okay, realistically.
Well, head says actually might be a draw.
Okay.
1-1 draw, maybe 2-2 draw. Heart would say Chelsea 2-1, but I think probably got to go with the head.
Salah.
Yeah.
Salah's going to score it.
Oh,
I think it's going to score.
I can just see. Well, think about it. It's all day long. The boy that sort of came here.
Yeah.
We basically, let's be honest, bought in to kind of derail you a little bit. He then got sold off, come back, and then he's going to do something. He's got to. It's the same with like Hazard. He likes playing against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Salah likes playing against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, except for the actual ultimate scorelines that you predicted. Guys, thank you very much for all that. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us about that. And again, just swear the comments, Guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Some great content, good in the build-up show. You can check out obviously starting 11 prediction and get over to the redmentv.com for more fantastic content from ourselves. Other than that, see you all soon.